Welcome into the State of Michigan podcast. We just got done watching a absolute thriller, Michigan State versus Kansas State. One of the greatest games of this March Madness, if not the greatest. That
Mm.
Noel kid absolutely went off,
Oh yeah.
magician. 19 assists, 10 in the first half. It was absolutely crazy. Man, give me your first thoughts on this, Jaron.
Well, you know what? Going into the game, you're expecting a good game, but wow. That was one of the better games I've seen in college basketball this season. Definitely the best in March. Like
I
you
will
said,
say
Noel's good. Noel is really good.
it was one of the best I've seen this season. It's that Kentucky game is really close because that Kentucky game was very intense in the beginning of the season.
hmm
But with what was at stake in this game, holy shit.
Yeah, dude, it was like everybody was making a shot. There's no defense. I mean, clutch play after clutch play. It had all the storylines. That when Noel went out on the ankle, comes back, banks in a shot. You're just like, oh my goodness.
And the way the game started, it was like, dude, how did either one of these teams get to this point? No one was making anything. It was sloppy as hell. And then all of a sudden, like,
Boom, boom,
second
boom.
half especially, it was just fireworks. It was absolutely crazy, Jaron.
Oh yeah, I think you're looking at it. What we talked about was that these guys can score, and if I thought if Michigan State was going to win, they would have to score with them, and score with them. Did they? They really got that three ball going. I mean, they both got the three ball going, but it seemed like Michigan State was shooting very, very well from that. I think towards the end of the game, like Joey missed a couple at the end, but they were hitting, and when they went up, you knew they were going in. It was that kind of night.
Yeah, and that makes me think about that last possession Michigan State had. It's one of those things where I wasn't too mad with how it ended. Joey didn't think he was open. He passed to Malik Hall,
Oh
and my bitter self with how Malik Hall was playing, I really was like, if we're gonna lose, I don't care how it happens, just don't be a Malik Hall shot. And I know that sounds mean,
yeah.
but I was like, just get it to someone else because I know it's not going in with how Malik Hall's been playing lately. He's just been playing with no confidence. He's thinking way too much. And when Joey passed the ball, I was like, I can live with an absolute air ball that you just chuck up because, you know, I can live with a missed Joey Hauser shot no matter
Yeah.
how it ends up happening. It was just like, damn, you pass it to Malik, and then there was like no time. And
Then the
Tyson did his
turnover.
best.
Yeah.
Tyson did his best, and it was like, and the thing about the Joey shot is the guy was up in the air. You could have got the foul maybe, but we'll never know. But it was just
Yeah.
emotions were riding high.
I think a lot of those players gave it their all. You could tell they left it on the court. Hogard, passionate as can be.
I
Tyson
liked
Walker,
I liked
passionate can
seeing
be.
that. I like seeing
So
that from AJ because there's times where I'm like, do you even give a shit? But
yeah,
you saw it that game. He definitely gave it his all.
yeah, they really tried. I mean, there was a lot of effort out there, but then on the you got to also hand Kansas State their credit too. They were scoring at a very high clip, making the tough shots. Noel, like we've been saying,
Yeah,
really good point guard. I mean, the vision he has for the height he has is just amazing.
and had a
It's
couple circus shots.
yeah, like the one like I
That
said.
that was the difference. Is I can't really think of any Michigan State circus shots, but Kansas State got those to fall. He had that one where he shot it off one leg. Then they had the bounce it off the back of our guy because they did that super fast inbound before we were ready.
Mhm.
And just a couple of those types of plays mounted up for him, and that was the difference in the game.
Yeah, I mean, when everybody's scoring and there's no defense, those small plays can make a difference. It seemed like Kansas State was starting to pull away. Noel went out. Michigan State took advantage, and from there it was just punch, counter punch. It felt like nobody was missing. Like I know there were some times people would miss, but it felt like from like memory that nobody like ever missed. It felt like no matter what happened, shot made, shot made, shot made, shot made. It was just back and forth, crazy stuff.
Yeah, I want to say when Noel went out, I want to say it was a 4-point lead difference, so it wasn't too out of reach. I thought when Michigan State was really shot was when they went down 7 with about 2 minutes left,
Yeah,
and Noel was still like just going off even on that bum ankle.
yeah, they did.
And
And they
then
kept
we
following up.
yeah, and then we put Aikens on him, slowed him down, got back in it,
Mhm.
and then tied the game up. And I that was one thing is that at halftime, I was literally talking to my family. I was like, I don't know why we haven't put Aikens on him at this point. He's a better defender than Tyson, and he's your problem right now. Not um, I don't I don't remember who Aikens was on. I don't know if it was Keontae or who. But I was like, there needs to be an adjustment made. Finally happened with 2 minutes left. But I can only think that it may have happened a little too late.
Yeah, I saw this with Kansas State when they played Kentucky. I really liked the way they played. Very unselfish team. Like I said, their point guard's very good with vision. They'll find the open shooter, and they did that a lot. They were very aggressive to the basket. They weren't afraid of contact, obviously. And, it paid off for them. You'd like Michigan State to play a little more tough defense, obviously. That felt like a lot like what the Iowa game was. Uh, and it yielded a very similar result, except for that was a more evenly matched game, I think. So definitely could have won that game. It could have gone to either one of them, but Kansas State ended up making the plays late.
Yeah, and it was kind of weird. There was times where Noel would drive to the basket, he'd get Tyson on his hip, and then Joey would get like lost in the screen and roll, but he would run with his dude, so he kept his back to Noel. I'm like, turn around, square up, like try drawing a block, I mean a charge or something. Like face him. He's just gonna make you look silly if you just keep turning your back to him. And that he did it, leading to like his 19 assists because his eyes were on the ball. He was just worried about his own man. And that was one of the things I was so confused by. Like you just saw Joey running and it may have happened with more players than just Joey. I just remember seeing Joey in this situation a couple of times, but he'd be running with his guy on the pick and roll and just have his back turned towards instead of keeping his guy on his hip while facing Noel as he drove. And that's led to a bunch of assists that Noel had was just Joey unable to, get in the way, put his hands up, find the ball because all these passes were happening when he wasn't like looking.
Mhm.
He just seemed lost in that situation.
Yeah, I think they lost their guys a couple times. I think they had to frustrate Tom Izzo more than anything. But,
Yeah, even on that the shot that gave them the lead before overtime, you could tell that Hogard messed up. He followed, I think it was Jaden Akins' guy, on accident, and he missed his dude who leaked to the corner, hitting that jumper.
yeah, I mean, I think all of it, regardless, led to like a great night for not only college basketball, but sports in general. That was just a really fun game to watch from an outsider's perspective. And I know a lot of Michigan fans might be happy about that, but I really got to tip my cap to MSU. I really think they played a really good ball game. I mean, that performance like that sends you to the next step 99 out of 100 times probably. And this is just the one circumstance where Michigan State wasn't able to get the win. I mean, they shot really well. I mean, defense was bad, but when you shoot that well, it's just sometimes you feel like it's a
Sometimes good offense beats good defense.
yeah. I mean, sometimes that's how it feels like in basketball too. It feels like if you have great offense, then all of a sudden your defense is like, what the heck? But if you play great defense, you're like, why can't our offense get going? It's one of those things.
Oh yeah, I agree. And this was definitely a tone setter for the tournament. I felt like the tournament had been pretty dry so far this year, besides a couple upsets. But like even the upsets this year, even though we've had quite a few good ones, it's just kind of felt dry outside of like the FDU upset. Like I don't know, the Princeton upset didn't really get me up and out of my seat. Um, and I'm trying to think, even the West Virginia one, and like whatever. I don't know if it's just me getting used to it and numb to it, but as far as like intense basketball goes, this was the first game that went into overtime, and I just felt like it was I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm a fan of Michigan State. Like, I don't know, but a lot of people seem to agree that this was the best
Oh, it
game or
was.
one of the best games of the tournament. So I don't think it's just me.
It's
I
not
think
just
this was a good tone setter for what we're about to see in the coming week or two of and watching this thing wrap up. So
yeah. I mean, it definitely was the best game, and it's gotta suck for MSU when you see that Tennessee lost to FAU,
yeah,
and
crazy.
you're just like, oh my gosh, like
That was your
I
ticket to a Final Four.
that was a Final Four ticket, and obviously you can look at that and be like, maybe you can't play out all the variables, but in that matchup, I'd really like MSU against FAU. Tennessee really just didn't show up at all, so that was a Final Four ticket right there. It's gotta hurt. I know it does, but that's a heck of a good game. And honestly, the future, I mean, they're not hurting. They got a great recruiting class, one of the best Thomas has assembled.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk about is I, like many Michigan State fans, maybe some felt a little different, but going into this tournament, we were coming off a loss in the Big Ten tournament. Um, first game we lose to Ohio State, and I
Rough.
kind of came into this tournament with not too much hope. I mean, my brackets were mostly like beating USC and then losing to Marquette. So like we made it a little bit farther than I had us. But despite us only making a little bit farther than I had us, the quality of basketball I saw from the team was way better than I was expecting. So for that, I was completely pleased.
Mhm.
And it showed a lot of hope for next year. Next year, you're probably going to lose Joey. He's hinted towards he's going to leave. If maybe this little bit of tournament run changed anything for him, I guess we'll see. But I have a good feeling he's still leaving. Um, and then maybe you lose Malik Hall, but I doubt it. We'll have to see what guys, maybe some guys want to test out the NBA. I mean, maybe Akins, but I doubt it. He's still uh, going to be a big part for this team. And I think next year is going to be a big year for him to improve his draft stock because he's going to be a very big piece. We saw him get into the starting lineup
Mhm.
towards the end of this year. So I think he's going to want to, show what he can do in the starting lineup all year for these NBA teams, so I expect him to return. So I'm just saying this to say, we have a lot of guys returning next year. Probably everyone besides Joey. Maybe you lose Malik Hall, but honestly, we lost Malik Hall last year based on how he played, and that's not even being mean, but I'm just like, let's say he returns and he returns back to what he was as a junior, and he gets out of his head in my head, we are adding a player because I didn't feel like we had him this year with the injuries he went through. And then once he came back, he had the mental issues that he was going through with his game. So I'd almost feel like we're adding a player if he returns and plays, becomes the player that I know he is. So, you're returning a bunch of talent. You have that number 3 recruiting class. Maybe Tom Izzo wants to go in the transfer portal. He doesn't seem to like it much,
Doesn't
but
like it much, does he?
he has done it with guys like Joey and Tyson, so
Yeah.
uh it's always still a possibility, but
Yeah.
a lot of promise for next year.
Yeah, I think they got a bright future ahead of them. Definitely next year should be a year that they should look forward to potentially win the Big Ten or at least the Big Ten tournament. I think they'll have a team that should be. Now, obviously, sometimes you bring in these great players, they don't mesh right away. So even if they don't start off great, that doesn't mean that by the end of the year they won't be good. So it's all about getting hot at the right time in college basketball. Michigan State was obviously they played really good in this tournament. They played good defense in stretches, and obviously a good offense in stretches. Obviously, it wasn't enough because you matched up against a team that also had an amazing offense in themselves. I think you play like any other team, and Michigan State wins that game. So, um, hats off to them. It's a good season, better than Michigan did. So,
Yeah, 100%. That 100% can't say that enough. But
yeah.
um that that being said, guys, let us know on the State of Michigan podcast when we post this tomorrow. Let
Yeah.
us know how you guys felt about this game. Were you guys pleased? Were you guys disappointed? And how are you guys feeling about next year? Thank you guys for tuning into this episode, and we'll see you guys later.